Hello and welcome to our October Patchwork Project of the Month. So I hope everyone is enjoying the start of fall. We just started getting that early fall, like crispness in the morning, which I just love. So it's a little cool. The sunrises have been beautiful. So for this month, I thought I would just do a very simple patchwork project. There's no specialty tools or templates required, just some basic rulers for measuring and cutting. And then because it's fall, I wanted to do the maple leaf block, which this has been around forever. You might have already done this block before. I've done a lot of projects with it. This is just a very basic version. I know there's some out there where you can add the stem right here, like applique a stem or piece of stem in right here. But there's lots and lots of videos out on YouTube doing this block and quilts with this block and different patterns and free patterns. But what I did is I went ahead and pulled this one from EQ8, if you guys have ever used that program. And they just had a basic table runner pattern using this. But what I like about with EQ8 is you can kind of switch it up, so I can make the blocks bigger if I like, or you can put different blocks in there. And so that's what I did. I just kind of messed around with it. These are just fabrics that were in EQ8, so not fabrics that I'm going to actually use, but this is what the table runner is going to look like. So just 4 simple blocks we're going to do this month. And I decided to switch out the tops with a simple 4-patch block. So we're going to do that, and that's it. So we'll get the table runner together and pick some nice fall looking fabrics, and then we're going to be doing some template or embroidery ruler work on it. And when we're all done, and that's going to be our project. So this is also part of the mystery quilt, if you guys have done that as well, which is also on our university. So this is the basic block as well if you want to do a 6-inch block. It's really, and this is an easy block too to scale up or scale down. So if you want 10-inch blocks or 12-inch blocks, these that I'm going to be working on today for my table runner are going to be a 12-inch finished blocks, and then I added a 3-inch border all the way around it. But again, you can make it any size you want based on the type of project that you're doing. So this was a little bit of a practice one that I did the other day, just some scrap fabric that I had. So I wanted you guys to see that. I didn't put the border or anything on it, but I was just playing around with it and kind of checking my sizes and stuff. So that was just kind of a scrap one. But anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. And we're just going to start with doing the first block, which is going to be a basic 4-piece. And again, this is a 12-inch finish size block. And I'm going to put the 4-piece together doing 2 at a time. So I'm going to take 2 12.5-inch squares and put them together to make this. But anyways, we're just going to get started on this project. It's going to be quick. It's going to go fast. And then we'll get into the finishing and the embroidery designs on it. And so hopefully you guys enjoy this. Okay, so this is what I've chosen for the 4-patch that we're going to do. Let the browns looked a little good for the fall. This is my stash that I'm trying to choose from. It's a big mess right now. So I think this is the final one that I've decided on. So I'm going to go ahead and get these pressed, and then we'll get them cut up. So we can do the 4 patches 2 different ways. We're trying to make a 12-inch finished block, 4-patch block. So we could cut 2 of each 6.5-inch squares and then sew them together and make a 4-patch. Or we could do the like the fast, easy way that I've seen before. And I think I've done it on one of my projects before, where you just take the 2 bigger blocks and you sew them together, cut them, and then sew them together, and you have your 4-patch too. So if you want to do it that way, that would be I'm going to cut them at 12 3/4 just to give myself a little bit extra room. And then I can trim it up to a 12-inch block when I'm done. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use these 2 right here. And just doing that one time, I'll get both of my 4-patch blocks. So that'll save us a bit of time. So I'm going to get these pressed and starched. And I forgot to say, I broke my iron. I don't know have you guys ever broken iron before? So I famously will put my iron on You can hear it. This is my ironing board. And then I will turn and bump it and without fail knock off my iron. And you'd think after enough times I would learn to not do that anymore, but I did not. And I ended up actually breaking my iron. So I have this really good friend who had this iron from, I don't know when. It's kind of big. It's a little cumbersome, but it actually works really good. And it's got like, it holds the water in there for the steam. And it's kind of a dry steam. So instead of like a wet steam, it's a really dry steam. So it works really good. So anyways, that is what I'm using right now, this thing, until I get my own iron. So anyways, I will have to change my habit. So I stopped breaking irons, but I'm going to get these pressed and then we'll get them cut and then we'll head over to the sewing machine. Okay, so I got both those fabrics cut and pressed together. And I have the right sides together, and what I'm going to do is sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance down each of the sides. So I'm going to do it down this side first, and then flip it around and do it down the other side. And then what we're going to do after that is go cut it in half, and then we put those two halves together and sew a 1/4 inch seam down the other sides and cut it in half, and then we have a 4 patch. So should be as easy as that. I like doing it this way. I feel like it does save time, and I feel like my seams line up a little bit better than just doing them individually, like as individual blocks. But I don't know if that's really true or if that's just my perception. Anyways, I do like how fast this is because you get 2 blocks at once versus like 1 block at a time too. So if you have a quilt that you're doing that has a lot of 4 patches in it, it's kind of a nifty way to make them. I was trying to do a pattern the other day. It was a mountain. It was like a quilt block that made it look like a mountain. I thought, oh, that would be kind of a fun project to do. But it was really small. I think it was only like a 10-inch block. And I thought, well, wonder if I could do it bigger, just enlarge it and make it like into a big panel. And so I just thought, oh, well, I'll just triple everything. I'll just triple all the dimensions. And apparently that's not quite as easy, or quite how it works either. I thought it would be that easy, but it's not quite that easy. Especially when you're doing it with like half square triangles and half square blocks and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I learned a little lesson there. But I'm going to go and cut this in half now. And then we'll press those 2 open and then I'll come back. Okay, so I'm back and let's see, hopefully you guys can see this. So I have cut them in half and then I have now rotated them so that I have the 2 different halves going in opposite directions when I put the right sides together. And then now we're going to sew down the opposite side where we're going to actually cross over the other seam that we just did right here. So I just need to make sure that those 2 are nested together really well right there, because that's where it's going to be the center of my 4 patch. And also make sure that you do have these flipped in opposite directions. I've done it where I forgot to look and I put both the same ones together, and well, that didn't work out very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sew the seam down this other side now, and just gonna make sure that that's nested really good there so that my center of my 4 patch is nice and crisp and everything lines up. Get my thread back under there, and let's go ahead and sew now down this side. Let's go ahead. Oh, guess that helps if I actually have thread in my needle. I must have accidentally pulled it out. Hang on a second. That's what I love about this nifty threader and my baby lock. Okay, let's get that back under my foot and try this again. Okay, make sure I'm lined up again down here. And I think that looks pretty good. And go ahead and go with that. I'm trying to get myself to slow down too. I tend to go too fast and things get all wonky. It's really hard. I guess I have to adjust up here because my foot just wants to go fast. There we go. That's a little bit better. Give me time to adjust stuff if I need to. As I go too fast, I don't have time to adjust everything. All right. So we're just going to get these sides done. And then we'll go cut it again, and we should have two nice 12-inch, we'll have to square them up, but we should have two, when we're done, 12-inch 4-patch blocks. And that was really easy. I don't think the autumn leaf blocks are going to be quite so easy. There are a little more piecing in them, but this, we'll get this part done. So let me line that back up there over here. Same thing. And let's get that going down here. I really like this fabric. Have you ever had a fabric where you only have one piece of it and it's so pretty you really don't want to cut into it? That's what this one fabric was like. I don't remember where I got it, but I just had one piece of this brown and yellow, and I really like it. And so I want to save it, but then I think, what am I saving it for? If I'm saving it, I'm never going to use it. But I really, really like it. It's really pretty fabric. I really like yellows and browns. Makes me think of summer and spring, but then the browns kind of lend to fall, so hopefully that'll work out good for a fall project. Alright, let's go get this cut and pressed and see how well I did. There we go. Look at that. They just turn out so good each time. I've done this method so many times and they just always come out just perfect. So yeah, I mean, again, you could do these individual blocks and sew them together, but I don't know why I always feel like this method always comes out really, really good. So there are 2 of our 4 patches already done. So we're going to focus on doing the autumn blocks next, which are going to go in the middle. So I'm going to pick out the fabric for that. And then I'll show you the cutting sequence for that. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to get started on the next 2 blocks. I already got one of them done. So this is going to be the maple leaf. So I'm going to, when this is done, it's going to hook up to the 4-patch there. So this is the first maple leaf. And yeah, it goes together really good. So this is the other fabric that I've chosen. I'm going to go ahead and get that cut out. So I'm going to need 4 half square triangles and then 3 just solid squares, and then I've already got these cut out. So this size right here, the solid, is a 4.5. So each of these will be cut out at 4.5. And then the half square triangles, if you're doing 2 at a time, I believe I did 5.25 squares. So 2 5.25 squares, right sides together, and you get your 2 at a time half square triangles, and then you can trim them down to the 4.5. And that works pretty good. Doesn't have a lot of waste or anything when you're doing it that way. And so we're going to go ahead and get the other blocks cut out of now this one to make our second maple leaf. And so that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I just need to kind of give myself a couple straight edges here. I'm really excited. I finally got my new cutting mat in, and it works really good. I like it so much better than the one that I had before. Oh, This is so nice. If you ever had a cutting mat you don't like, that doesn't work very well. You'll completely understand. So this one is I think it's just a Quilter Select. Where's the, oh yeah, quilterselect.com. It works pretty good. I like it. I wasn't sure. There's a lot of choices out there, so I wasn't sure on which one to get. But so far I like this one. I like the lines are really easy to see and everything's nice and straight. So I'm going to cut 3 4.5-inch blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inch. So I think because I need 3 of them, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it all the way across. Line that up. Guess I should make sure I'm lined up down here pretty good too, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. I always have to do it twice because I forget. And then I cut it wrong. So that's the 1/2-inch mark right there. 4.5. And yeah, I'm just going to go across all of them, I think, because I need 3. Should I not cut? Probably not. I don't press very hard on it. And there. There we go. There we go. I hate those little ends there that get caught too. Okay. So I need 3 4.5-inch. Use my other. This is a good ruler too. You guys have used the SoBiz centering ruler. I use it all the time. I love it. It's a great ruler to have when you're doing just like small little, well, I don't know, I use it for a lot of different things, but I really like it. I like the green too. It just makes the etchings of the markings stand out really well. Line that up again. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And 1 more. Just need 3 of these guys. This project's going to go together really fast. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Not 5.5. Okay. 4.5. There we go. Okay, so we have our 3 solids. And then next we're going to be cutting out for our 1/2 square triangles. So I'm going to do 5 1/4 squares. And I need just 2. So 2 will give me 4 1/2 square triangles. So I'm going to cut those next. All right, so I have my 5 1/4 squares cut. And I'm just going to put the right sides together. I really liked this. I don't know if I showed that to you guys up close. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe there. It's just a white, but it's got this really faint little leaf design in the background. I thought that was kind of cute for fall. So anyways, I'm going to put my right sides together, and we're just going to do 2 at a time, 1/2 square triangles. And those are pretty easy to make. I actually found online a little like cheat sheet chart, which is kind of nice to have. So depending on what size of finished 1/2 square triangle, it tells you exactly what size you need to start with. And I really like that. That's what I was having trouble with, that mountain block I think I was trying to do the other day. And I was trying to size it up so it was bigger, like a panel. I wanted to do, it was like I think it was just a 12-inch block, but instead I wanted it to be like a 36 by 36-inch block and be like a big panel. And again, I thought you could just triple the math, but that's not quite how it works. So it was kind of nice to find this little cheat sheet that had the math done for me, so I could figure out what size I needed to cut the block so that I would get the correct 1/2 square triangles. So I'm just going to make a line down here and make sure I'm right to that point. And then another thing that's nice about this ruler is it has the 1/4 inch marking on it, so I can make my 2 1/4 inch marks on either side. And it has another 1/4 inch one on this side, so I can just move the ruler like that and make my marking down this side. Sorry, I'm kind of awkward. I was trying not to get in the way, but I camera, but it's kind of hard when you're doing this. My line's going to be kind of messy, I guess. Oh well. And I just have my piecing foot on, and I'm back to my Baby Lock aerial again. The Altair, I had to take in and have it maintenanced, and it was only going to be a couple weeks, so we're going on, I think, 3 weeks now. And I guess the feed dogs were messed up on it, or the feed dogs are broken. I don't even know how you do that. I knew it was making funny noises, but I guess it really was making funny noises. And it kind of makes me feel good though, because it kept jamming and doing all this stuff. And I thought, what am I doing? So I thought, well, I should probably go down and get it maintained. And I had gotten it from somebody else, and it hadn't been maintained, I guess, in a couple years. So it was good that it's in there, but I'm hoping to get it back soon. So meanwhile, I'm back to the aerial. So I'm just gonna follow. What we're doing is we're just gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam on either side of that line. And that middle line is gonna be our cut line. And that'll give us our 2 half square triangles. Easy peasy. And then we're gonna use the squared up ruler to just square up our block. I don't know if you guys have seen our new ruler. It's been out for a little while now, but it's handy. It took me a while to figure out how to use it. It wasn't intuitive to me at first, but I finally figured it out, and now I love it. So I got both sizes. I have the small one, which is great for these small blocks, and then I have the big one for bigger blocks. So we'll be using that to square this up. We're just going to get both of these sewn together. And so how many of you done the maple leaf block before? Do you have quilt projects? If you do, share them on WESTALEE by me. I'd love to see them. I really like it. It's very versatile. I've seen a few when I was doing some research on it. I saw a few different Pinterest pictures of what people have done and different quilts they made with it. And it's kind of fun to add that stem to it and then put it, 3 or 4 in a block. And apparently I didn't cut something right. All right, hang on. I got to go back to the drawing board. Okay, I'm back. Obviously, I'm not very with it this morning. I'm still working on my coffee, I think. So I'd cut my white square at 5 inches instead of 5 1/4. And luckily, I only had one little, well, I think it was a fat quarter piece, one fat quarter piece of this white, and I've already used almost all of it up. So I had to scrounge to get a new one cut at the right dimension. So anyways, who knew a 1/4 inch would be such a big deal, but it is. So I'm gonna get this one now together. And what do they say? Measure twice, cut once, if you've ever done construction. All right. I should learn that by now. Get this one on here. I guess I'll flip it around, line that back up. There we go. And then get that out of there. Okay. My seam sewn on this one. Get my thread in there. If I don't put my thread in the back like that, what happens is I'll start, and then it will, as it takes its first couple stitches, it'll pull the thread right out of my needle. And then I have to rethread it. Okay. Back on track. So we'll get this one done, and then that should give us all of the half square triangles we need to complete the maple leaf. Anyways, what were we talking about before? I think maple leaf, if you guys have done any projects. Again, this one I kind of like just because it's a fun, fast fall project. Something you can completely complete in a day. You can probably do a couple of them in a day, depending on what you do for like finishing them. If you're going to do ruler work or embroidery, and then you can almost, they're very seasonal, easy to do for the different seasons. You could do a winter one or a spring one or summer one. All right, there we go. So I'm going to go cut these down the middle, have our 2 half square triangles, and we're going to square them up, and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so I have them pressed and open. There's my half square triangles. I've got my squared up ruler. This is the bigger one. I don't know if you've seen the bigger one for 12-inch blocks. So that's kind of a nice one to have. And I'm just using our little one right here. and just putting the diagonal on the diagonal of my half square and then putting it at 4.5 inches, which is what I want to square it off to. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess. So I probably could have made the half square triangles, I guess, a little bit smaller because that's quite a bit of excess. But there we go. So it should be the same size as the other ones that I'm going to be doing. Yep. Double check that. So there we go. So I'm just going to square up the rest of these. How did I do that? I did it this way. Okay. Get myself straight. I'm going to cut off this excess. Uh-oh. Definitely make sure you're on the right line. Make my block too small. Did nothing to work out. And I don't have any more of my other fabric. That would be a disaster. Okay. It's a little dotted line. That makes it really easy. Okay. There's that one. Oops, sorry, hit the camera. And do this one. It's a little wonky. Must have not get my seam just right. Oh well. Maybe I'll make it just a little bit. I guess. I'll go with that. We'll see if it works. All right. So I'm going to move over to this other area and we'll get the block laid out before we piece it together. Okay, there's the pieces. Just kind of lay it out. Everything's lined up pretty good. And what I'll end up doing, and what I did on that one, is I just did the rows. So I'll do this row, this row, this row, and then put the rows together and then square it up. And that'll be done. So I'm going to go ahead and just get these pressed one more time, and then I'll take it over and start sewing the rows together. Okay, so we are going to be sewing the rows together. And so I think the most important thing is just making sure my two seams are nested together and lined up pretty good. So that's what I'll kind of be focusing on. So I'm going to start with this top one because that's the one I'm going to do first. And get this going here, and I'll adjust it a little bit as I go. Make sure that's right where I want it. I think so. I was on a Facebook page the other day, and I think it was just one of the quilting with ruler ones out there. And this gal had stuck the needle through her finger when she was sewing on her sewing machine. And I had never done that before, but I was surprised by how many people responded to her post saying that they had done that before. But she showed a picture of it, and it had gone right through her fingernail all the way through, came out the other end. Looked really painful. She said it was really painful. But I don't know, have any of you ever done that before? I was trying to figure out how you do that. And I guess if you're, you get your fingers up over here, maybe you just accidentally stick your finger in there and do it. But it looked extremely painful. So then now that I saw that, I'm paranoid about it, of course, because now I've seen it and like, oh, that can happen. And then, so yesterday, I think I was like too fixated on it and thinking about it. And then I did something and my finger hit the bar up here and I scared myself. So I guess I shouldn't look at photos like that on the internet. But anyways, it can happen. Hopefully nobody's ever done that before. But something, I guess, to keep in mind and watch out for. I guess if you're working really fast or doing a lot of piecing, you know, it can kind of get, I don't know, kind of space out while you're doing it if you're doing a bunch of them in a row or something. Anyways, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and get this pressed, and then we'll get the other row and come back. Okay, so got this one on. We're gonna go press this one and see how it turned out. Here's our second autumn leaf, or maple leaf, I guess. So now it just comes down to how I want to put them together. So I've got the 4 12-inch blocks. Oh, I need to square this one up. I haven't done that yet. So the others are squared up. So I'll square this block up, and then we'll just piece these 4 together. I haven't decided how I wanted to rotate the maple blocks yet, because I guess you can rotate them a different way and get a different look. Maybe I'll do something like that. Or I could have them going, let's see. That one's going that way, that one's going that way. Kind of alternate of each other. One's going up, one's going down. I kind of like that. Or maybe more like that. I don't know, I'll play around with it and see which one I like best, because it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to square this one up, and then we'll get to piecing these 4 blocks together. Okay, so there's these 2 put together, just doing them 2 at a time. They turned out pretty good. There was enough of seam allowance on this one, so I didn't nip off my ends. So you always have one good, one bad. So this is my good one. And then over here, when I was squaring up this one, I got a little crazy and nipped off too much on this side. So when I had to sew it together, it took my little points off over here. So we'll just not look at that. I'll just look at this. Just pretend we don't see that other part. And right, out of sight, out of mind. It's just not there. Teach me to slow down. Anyways, so I got these 2 together as well. And now I'm going to put both of the 2 together. All right, so I have, let me stand over here to the side. I'm getting a shadow. All 4 of those together. So 4 12-inch blocks. See it better over here? Maybe if I stand over here. It's kind of hard because I'm holding the phone kind of vertically versus horizontally. Anyways, oh, that's not going to work. That is what it looks like. So close. I'm going to add a border to it. So I laid it out doing a 3-inch border, and then I'll do little, I don't know, little blocks in the top that'll stand out as part of the border. So we're going to do that next. And yeah, it turned out okay. Not sure what's going on here. I guess that one I didn't get too close together either. I don't know. Practice, practice, practice. So we'll get the border on it and go from there. See what it looks like when it's done. Stay tuned. Here we have the border on finally. I did not film me doing the border because I did not have my thinking brain on today, and it took me way longer than it should have. I did not measure right. I put stuff together backwards. And anyways, so it's finally done. I just did a 3-inch border, and this little leaf design on the border kind of matched the leaf designs in here, so I thought that looked good. And then I just took some extra scrap from the autumn leaf and then just use those as a corner box. So that is what it looks like with the border all on it. So I think we are ready for our next step, and I'm going to get some batting and backing, and we'll go over and get started on the embroidery designs. I think I'm going to use the feather embroidery designs because they kind of match what we got going on here too. So I think I'll look through some of our new feather edge to edge designs and work on doing that with this table runner. I'm not sure what kind of thread I want. If I want the design, the embroidery design to stand out, do I want it to kind of disappear? I haven't decided yet. So I will spend some time looking at my thread and seeing what I want to do for it. But I just wanted to do to see where we're at with the borders on it and everything. So, I mean, it makes a pretty decent sized table runner with the 12-inch blocks and the border. So like what are those tables, you know, some people put by their entryway behind their couch. Anyways, whatever those are called. I think it would be good for a table like that, or maybe outside on my table out on the patio. But anyways, there we go. So I'm gonna get started on working on the embroidery. Okay, so here is the embroidery design I chose from our feathers edge to edge, and that's what it's looking like in there. I got some gold thread going on to match the gold in the fabric, and we're just getting started here. I'm gonna just do a few hoopings all the way down the table runner with these designs. Anyways, I got the feathered leaf, so this is from our feathered leaf templates, and so you can make the same design with the feathered leaf templates if you have that, but I thought it looked really good with the, oops, can you see that? The design in there kind of matched, so that's what I'm doing, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get to the stopping point. All right, so I did finish the embroidery designs on this. So it was just the same embroidery design that I showed, and I just did an edge to edge. So I just kept repeating it. Flipped it a few times just so that it looked a little more inconsistent, kind of random versus like all in a row. But anyways, I think it turned out really good. That is the finished thing. I just used my backing as my binding and then did a decorative stitch, which I see that I can improve on my decorative stitching. But anyways, I gave it a go. So that is the finished project. Hopefully you guys like the class, and yeah, have some fun, play around with embroidery files if you haven't already, or get out your templates and do some feather template designs on it. It's a great fall project for the feather templates too. I think they'd go really well with the autumn leaf and maple leaf. Anyways, there she is. Maybe I'll turn it this way, see it a little bit better. There we go. And I'll post a couple of photos. So we will see you guys next month, and have a good fall.